Hi, Capricorn. Welcome to your September 2015 Tarotscope. It's Raina here. Before I begin, I want to thank all of you who subscribed, liked, shared my videos, as well as got a reading from me. It's been a wonderful experience. And I also want to say that I now offer a Law of Attraction love reading. It's $21 for a 20-minute audio, and it combines your personal natal chart data with a tarot spread that is meant to empower you in the area of love and look at what you can do to attract the person that is right for you. Now, this is a month I think you're going to actually really like. First of all, Virgo is featured, and Virgo is a fellow earth sign, so there's a lot of getting down to business type of energy, which I know that you guys like. But also, Virgo is your ninth house, and then you have Libra, and that's your 10th house. So I think that as we get into all these personal planets in Libra, that will really emphasize your career. Now we're getting a little taste of it. We're getting a lot of ninth house activity because Virgo is your ninth house. And so the sun is in Virgo for the first 3 weeks. Then it goes into the 10th house, and that makes you more interested in your career. While it's in the ninth house, it's more of a philosophical house. The ninth house is a thought house, a thinking house. It's in the sign of Sagittarius. So you're probably going to be thinking about what is your place in the world and your life philosophy. And if you look at the astrological wheel, it seems like everything fits together nicely, where there's times when you are thinking more of the nuts and bolts of life, the down to earth matters. Like 10th house falls into that category, the 6th house and the 4th house and that sort of thing. It's second house. And then you have the houses that are more involved in the thought realm or the creative realm, like the 3rd house, the 5th house, the ninth house. So it's kind of a nice balance of energy, I think. And for you, there's a lot of emphasis on the ninth and 10th houses. The new moon will be in your ninth house on the 13th of September. Partial solar eclipse at 20 degrees Virgo, 3 times a regular new moon energy. So, new beginnings in the sector for higher education and philosophy, long distance travel, dealing with foreigners, that sort of thing. Publishing, too. And in September, a lot of people will either be going back to school or they will be working at a university. And this might be highlighted in this new moon for you. Mercury is going to be in the sign of Libra, and this all happens in your 10th house because it goes retrograde on the 17th. And so I suspect that your career will be on your mind all during the month of September, and after the retrograde, that you might be rethinking a few things regarding your career. You might also, if you have any kind of pending job offers or something like that, have to experience delays if it somehow comes in contact with the Mercury retrograde. For instance, if it's very close to the time in which it goes retrograde, like in the shadow period or what have you. But in general, I think that it will be a good time for you to really contemplate what exactly you are going towards. And the 10th house is your natural house. So this makes it particularly important for you, this Mercury retrograde. Venus and Mars will both be in the 8th house for most of the month. Venus will be there the whole time, and Mars will go into the 9th house on the 25th of the month. Now, Venus has been retrograding in that house, the 8th house, and when it goes direct, this is an area that has to do with other people's money. So I think that it's very possible that some of you will be dealing with inheritances or maybe a spouse's gains on the job or any other money that they bring in through either money they earn or money they get through other means. Mars in the eighth house means that there's some energy expended in terms of dealing with these funds. So whether it's that you are fighting for an inheritance or you're having to take care of some sort of trust that was given to you to deal with money from relatives who cannot take care of themselves, or in the stock market. We're having quite a volatile stock market, but that might be some area that you have to exert some energy in. Just make sure that when Mars is in the eighth house, that you do not become a crazed sex poodle. I'm just going to leave that there. And then Mars goes into your ninth house on the 25th, and it's like you step right on a soapbox and start spouting off your beliefs. You might be concerned with really publishing things either for other people or for yourself, and you're putting out a lot of energy in this direction, or there's some kind of conflict in relationship to a matter related to whatever it is that you believe, that you're a zealot and somehow it affects you at this time. But it could also mean that you are physically roaming the earth, that you're taking a long journey and you are just going every which way and enjoying exploration, enjoying new cultures, that sort of thing. Jupiter is going to spend a year in the ninth house, and this could affect you in many different ways. It could mean that you are going to be blessed with the ability to travel long distances. You're going to have the funds to do it. You're going to have the desire to do it. Some of you may actually travel overseas in conjunction with a university. Maybe you're immersing yourself in a foreign language. Some of you may get lucky in contact with some foreigner. So maybe you join up with a foreigner in a partnership, a business partnership, and it's very profitable for you. It's very lucky for you. You might be publishing and have success in this arena. There are as many interpretations as there are people on the earth, but it's a wonderful time for you, especially since Jupiter is the natural ruler of the ninth house. It gives it that little extra serendipitous effect. Saturn is direct now, but it is still in Scorpio. So this is your 11th house, and it will be going into your 12th house on the 17th of the month. So it's going to be going from this group setting, sector, to the 12th house of the unconscious. So basically, what's going to happen is that when it enters Sagittarius on the 17th, that you will start to see yourself in this place where you have to heal from anything that binds you. And some of this stuff might not even be from this lifetime because the 12th house can relate to past lives. So addictions is a biggie as far as I'm concerned with Saturn in the 12th, because this is something that restricts people. So if this has been a pattern, this might be a time when you decide to finally rid yourself of this ball and chain, so to speak. And I also wanted to say that while it's still in the 11th house, you might clean house with some of the friendships that you have. But this has been an energy for the last couple of years before it went into Sagittarius. So you've done a lot of that work already. This was just kind of like a review. And I think for the most part, you have done your 11th house clean out, and now it's time for the 12th house. So the overall card I got for you, Capricorn, is the Knight of Pentacles. And this is kind of the workhorse energy, just the rolling up your sleeves, getting down to brass tacks kind of thing. And since we're in Virgo, that makes perfect sense because Virgo rules the sixth house of work, the actual work itself. So you may be finding yourself with a large workload and you're just plowing through it and you're doing it. And it's something that I don't see as any kind of problem for you. It might even be considered good news for me to tell you that. Interestingly, I got some cards that kind of seesaw throughout the month because for the first half I got the Eight of Swords and the Page of Rods. And the Eight of Swords is a card you may be familiar with. It's really somebody who's a prisoner, but I think it's more of a self imposed prison. And I almost connected a little bit with the Devil card in the Major Arcana, the Eight of Swords, because you're limiting yourself. And this is almost like your choice. And one of the things about Capricorn is that you guys always have to watch out when it comes to your thoughts because you have a tendency to see the glass half empty and then label it as being pragmatic. And it's really because Saturn, kind of sees the world from a rather dour, severe perspective sometimes that you are like this. But, it's what gives you such a dry sense of humor, such a kind of a cynicism that other people find hilarious because you really are very much aware of what goes on, but you just have to make sure it doesn't go too far and you become pessimistic. And I think this energy, in terms of the Eight of Swords, is something that you feel restricted by, and you don't realize it's your own thought patterns that are doing it. What's nice about it is it's accompanied by the Page of Rods. So there could be some kind of wonderful news that comes your way. Maybe just in the nick of time, maybe you hear some wonderful thing that buoys your spirits, and that would be wonderful. In the second half of the month, there's that mixed bag again. I got the Five of Pentacles and the Page of Cups. And the Five of Pentacles, to me, this is something that Capricorn has a tendency to do. And this is on the material level. Kind of act like, kind of cry poor. Capricorn is one of those signs. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You're always kind of like saying, oh, because you don't really like to just waste money to begin with, which is good. But on the other hand, sometimes you're self denying. And if there's something you really want to do or have, you might say, oh, no, that's not in my budget, blah, 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 even if you could afford it. And then you also feel a sense of lack when there is none. Because the other thing about this card, too, is that it really asks of us to remember the spiritual side of life, not to get so bogged down in making a buck that you neglect to realize that you have a spiritual self. And that spiritual self is going to exist long after the material one is no longer present and accounted for. And the card accompanying the Five of Pentacles is the Page of Cups. So again, this is something that might relate to some kind of idea that you have that is going to be very beneficial for you. So maybe it's just a question of tapping into your intuition and seeing what kind of things, if this is related to business. Sometimes we get so caught up in certain setbacks that we lose that ability to be creative temporarily. And that's the very thing that can get us back on track. So I think that you're going to have a lot of career advancement and at least developments in this area during the month of September, according to the astrology. I think that the biggest adjustment will be your attitude and to make sure that it is in alignment with your highest sense of purpose. And then I think you'll be good to go, Capricorn. So I hope you like this, and I will talk to you in the near future. Bye.